Lesson 11 of Thinking into Results. We've given you. Hello, this is Sandy Gallagher, welcoming you back to Lesson 11 of Thinking into Results. We've given you a lot of tools so far that, when applied, will bring phenomenal results to you. Today, we're talking about creating increase for you, not decrease, which comes when you compete with others. Let me explain. If you leave each person you meet with the impression of increase, a feeling of benefiting from their interaction with you, it will not only make that person feel better, but it also enriches your life, because doing this creates an energy that will flow through you to that person you're uplifting, and it'll make you feel better in the process. This is true customer satisfaction. Feel empowered to make the other person feel good. This may just be the lesson that's made the biggest impact on my life, on my law practice, on my friendships, literally everything, including building this company, Life Success Corporate. Because I'm constantly thinking about how I can leave the person I'm dealing with like they've got more from interacting with me. A richer, more fulfilling career and life are in your hands. Here's Bob to tell you how.
Lección 11. La impresión de ir creciendo.
Hello there and welcome.
Hola y bienvenido.
Lloyd Conant, co-founder of the Nightingale Conant Corporation in Chicago, was a very dear friend of mine while he was alive, and I hold very fond memories of him. He really helped me understand how to get the best out of myself. And one day in 1968, I was sitting in his kitchen, and I asked Lloyd, I said, Lloyd, how did you start this company? Because Lloyd Conant and Earl Nightingale didn't just start a company, they started an industry. The self-help industry as we know it today. It's the largest distribution house of self-help material in the world. And so I was sitting there, and Lloyd started to talk about a book he read. And he said, I studied this all weekend. It's called The Little Green Book. Well, all of a sudden, I wasn't interested in how he started the company. I wanted to know what this Little Green Book was. See, I was into studying. I wanted to know, why did everything in the world happen the way it was happening? And he gave me a copy. It was called The Science of Getting Rich, and it was written by Wallace D. Wattles in 1903. It was, by the way, the book that inspired Rhonda Byrne to make that runaway hit movie, The Secret, that I was very fortunate enough to be in. And I began to study it. In chapter 14, in that book, is something everyone should burn into their mind. It's leave every person you come in contact with the impression of increase. Now think about that. You want to leave everyone you come in contact with the impression of increase. If you just happen to be stopping by the water cooler, give the person that's there a compliment. But it's got to be sincere, merited praise. I'm not talking about flattery. That's pretty hollow and shallow. Do you know that everyone does something well? Start looking for what other people do well. Bring it to their attention. Let them know that you notice it. Give them an idea that inspires them. Leave every person you come in contact with the impression of increase. And if you see the best in other people, in other companies, in other situations and conditions and circumstances, you're going to be in a phenomenal vibration. You're just going to feel good all the time. Your whole world is going to improve. Bring that idea into your mind. Leave everyone you come in contact with the impression of increase. In other words, make them feel good because you have come in contact with them. It was one of the greatest rules that I've ever learned. The compensation that you get from developing that into your character is phenomenal. It goes beyond the scope of your imagination. If you want rich rewards, leave every person with the impression of increase. See, there is a science to getting rich, and I don't just mean money. I'm talking about all aspects of your life, an abundant life. We're dealing with an infinite source of supply. And the author of that book said, you do not get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. Well, think about that.
Piensa
You
en
do
que no
not
te
get
haces
rich
rico
by
haciendo
doing
ciertas
certain
cosas.
things. You get rich by
Te
doing
haces rico
things in
haciendo
a
las
certain
cosas
way.
de
You
cierta
see,
manera.
you could
¿Ves?
find two people
Que podrías encontrar
working
dos
in the
personas
same
trabajando en la
company
misma
for the
empresa
same sales
para el mismo
manager,
gerente de
and they're
ventas
selling
y
the
están
same
vendiendo el
product in the
mismo
same
producto en el
marketplace.
mismo mercado.
One is doing
Uno está muy
very
bien
well, and the other's
y el
struggling.
otro
And
está
yet they're both doing
luchando.
the same thing.
Y sin embargo, ambos
Now,
están
this has
haciendo lo
puzzled
mismo.
people for many years.
Ahora, esto
What is the
desconcertaba a
difference?
la gente. ¿Cuál es la
You know what I have
diferencia?
found?
¿Sabes lo que he
I
encontrado?
have found that
He
most
encontrado
of
que
the
la mayoría de
huge
las grandes
corporations do
corporaciones
not know
no saben
what
lo
the
que hacen sus
real top
verdaderos
producers are
principales
doing.
productores.
And most of the top
Y la mayoría
producers
de los
don't know what they're
lo
doing.
que los
They're what you
principales
call
productores
unconscious
hacen son
competence.
lo que llamas
You see,
confianza
if
inconsciente.
corporations
Mira,
knew
si las corporaciones
what the
sabían
real
lo que
hard
el
chargers
verdadero,
were
los
doing,
cargadores duros
they
estaban
would
haciendo,
can it and give it
lo
to
podrían
everybody.
y se lo
They don't
darían
know
a
what they're
todos.
doing.
No saben lo que están
You do
haciendo.
not get rich
No te
by
haces
doing
rico
certain
haciendo
things. Now, I can
ciertas cosas.
paraphrase that.
Ahora,
You do not
puedo
become a real
parafrasear, no te
pro
conviertes
in
en
your
un
field by
verdadero
doing certain
profesional en
things.
tu campo haciendo ciertas cosas.
You become a
Te
real
conviertes
pro
en un
in your
verdadero
field by doing
profesional en
things
tu
in a
campo
certain
haciendo las
way.
cosas de cierta manera.
Think about Tiger
Piensa en Tiger
Woods.
Woods. Ahora,
Now, you may not be a great
puede que
golfer.
no
I'm
seas
not a
un gran
great golfer. I've
golfista,
played a
no
lot of
soy un
golf,
gran
but
golfista, he jugado
it's
golf
just
algunas veces,
something
pero ya sabes,
that I do
es algo que hago
periodically.
periódicamente.
But I understand a bit
Pero
about the
entiendo un poco
game,
el juego
and I
y
understand this,
entiendo esto,
that this guy is so
que este
far
tipo está
beyond
mucho
everyone
más
else
allá
in
de
his
todos
field,
los
there isn't any
demás.
comparison,
En su
and
campo
everybody
no hay
knows that.
comparación y todo el mundo lo sabe.
You know he's the
¿Sabes
best
que
in
es
the
el mejor del
world,
mundo?
and yet he's
Y sin
changed
embargo
his
ha
game
cambiado su juego
twice
dos
to get
veces para
better.
mejorar.
There was no
No
competition.
había competencia.
But you see, Tiger
Pero ves
Woods
que Tiger Woods
doesn't
no
compete. He
compite,
creates.
él crea.
When he goes out in that golf
Cuando
course,
sale a
he's
ese
not
campo de golf,
competing
no
against
está
anybody else.
compitiendo
He's
contra nadie
competing
más,
against
está
Tiger Woods.
compitiendo contra Tiger Woods.
The science of
La
getting rich,
ciencia de hacerse rico,
the science of
la
being the
ciencia
best
de
in your
ser el
field,
mejor en tu
it's
campo,
not by doing certain
no
things,
es
it's by
haciendo
doing things in
ciertas
a
cosas,
certain
es
way.
haciendo las
Now,
cosas
if
de
you're
cierta
going to
manera.
understand
Ahora,
what the
si vas a
certain way it
entender que
is,
la
it's
forma
by law.
que es
There's
por
laws
ley,
that govern
hay
this whole
leyes que
universe.
gobiernan todo
And
este
you
universo.
must
Y debes
understand these
entender
laws.
esas leyes.
And if you
Y si
don't
no los
understand them,
entiendes,
odds are pretty
las
good.
probabilidades son
Nothing
bastante
of any consequence
buenas.
is really going to
Nada,
happen because
ninguna
it's going to happen on a
consecuencia, porque va a
hit-and-miss
suceder de
basis.
forma
Now, there's
impredecible.
some people,
Ahora, hay
I
algunas
was one of them,
personas, yo era uno de ellos,
that by
que por
some
algún
stroke, I
golpe,
don't know really
no
how it
sé
happens,
realmente cómo
I
sucede,
don't know if we're
no sé
guided
si
or what
somos
it is,
guiados o
they
qué
just
es.
start doing things in a
Simplemente
certain
comienzan
way,
a hacer las
and they
cosas de
just keep
cierta
getting
manera
better
y
and
siguen
better and better
mejorando
and
cada
better.
vez
But
y cada vez mejor,
they're not
pero
able to
no
articulate, they
son
can't tell you
capaces de
why.
articular, no pueden
School
decirte
doesn't
por qué
teach
la
this.
escuela no enseña
School does
eso.
not teach the
La
law.
escuela no
They do
enseña
not.
las leyes.
School teaches us very little about
En la
ourselves.
escuela no nos enseña,
As a
nos
matter of
enseñan muy
fact,
poco.
Dr.
De hecho, el
John
doctor
Mike,
John Meek,
who heads up the Montessori
dirige la
School
escuela Montessori en
in
Fort
Fort Lauderdale, is a psychiatrist, and
es
his wife
psiquiatra
Susan
y
is
su
a
esposa
psychiatrist.
Susan es
He
psiquiatra.
said that I taught him more
Dijo
about
que
the
le
mind in 1
enseñé
year
más sobre
than he
la
had
mente
learned
en
in
un
4
año
years of
que
medical
lo que había
school
aprendido
and
en
5
4
years
años
of
en la escuela y
psychiatric
5
training.
años de
Now, I always
entrenamiento
found that rather
psiquiátrico.
interesting
Ahora,
since
siempre
I just shared
encontré,
with him what a good
ya
doctor
que
has shared
qué
with
buen
me.
doctor que me
See,
había
I have learned
compartido.
some of the
Mira, he
basics
aprendido algunos de los conceptos
for
básicos
really improving the
por
quality of your
mejorar
life.
realmente la calidad
That's
de
what
tu vida.
thinking into
De
results
eso
is
se
all
trata,
about.
pensar en
It's
los
about the
resultados. Se
basics.
trata de lo básico.
And one
Y
of the
uno de los
basics
básicos
is
es que
that you do not become the best
tú
in your
no
field by
conviértete
doing
en el
certain
mejor en tu
things.
campo
You
haciendo
become the best
ciertas
in your
cosas. Te
field by doing
conviertes en el
things
mejor
in
en
a
tu campo
certain
haciendo las
way.
cosas de
You've
cierta
got to
manera.
be very
Tienes que
calm and
estar muy
confident.
tranquilo y seguro.
You've got to know who
Tienes
you
que
are.
saber quién eres.
James Allen said
James Allen
calmness
dijo,
of
la calma
mind is one of the
mental
beautiful
es
jewels of
una de las
wisdom.
bellas
It's
joyas
the
de la
result of
sabiduría, es el
long and
resultado de un
patient
esfuerzo
effort in
largo y
self-control.
paciente.
That's one of
El
the basic
una
qualities
de
of
las cualidades
leadership.
básicas del liderazgo,
Self-control. You've got to
autocontrol.
control
Tienes que
yourself.
controlarte.
Goethe, the
Herda, la
German
filósofa alemana,
psychologist, who
psicólogo que
really swayed the
realmente
thinking of the
influyó en
entire
el
Western
pensamiento de todo el
world,
mundo occidental,
he said, before you can do
dijo,
something,
antes
you
de que
first
puedas
must be
hacer algo,
something.
primero debes hacer algo.
You've got to do things in a
Tienes que
certain
hacer
way.
las cosas de
You've got
cierta
to bring
manera.
your
Tienes que
mind
traer
into
tu
harmony
mente
with the laws that
en
govern your
armonía con las
being.
leyes que
You've got to
gobiernan.
understand that
Tu
the
ser-
thoughts
Tú
that you
tienes que
think
entender esto, los pensamientos que
control
piensas
your
controlan tus
emotions.
emociones.
And your
Y
emotions
tus
control the vibration that your body's in so it controls how you act.
Así que
If
controla
you
eso.
don't
Si no
spend a
pasas una cantidad
respectable amount of
respetable de
time
tiempo
gaining an understanding of the
obteniendo una
relationship of the
comprensión de la
conscious to the
relación
subconscious
de
to the
lo
body,
consciente a lo subconsciente,
you're
al
dealing on a
cuerpo,
hit and
estás
miss
lidiando
basis.
con
Life is
aciertos y
very
errores.
short.
La vida
It
es
can be
muy
an
corta.
absolutely phenomenal
Puede ser
trip,
un viaje absolutamente
but it can also
fenomenal,
be a
pero también
massive
puede ser
headache
un
if we
dolor de
don't
cabeza masivo
understand
si no
how to make
entendemos
things
cómo hacer
happen.
que las cosas sucedan.
The law says what you put
La ley
out comes
dice
back.
que
We
lo
just
que
want to
pones
put the
vuelve,
very
solo
best out. It
solo
doesn't
queremos
matter
sacar
what
lo
anybody
mejor.
else is
No
doing.
importa lo que hagan los demás.
If you're going to win,
Si
you've
vas
got
a
to be
ganar, tienes que
courageous.
ser valiente.
I quoted Earl Nightingale in
Cité
a
a Earl
previous
en una
lesson
lección
where he said the
anterior,
opposite of
donde
courage
dijo
is
que lo
not
opuesto al
cowardness, it's
coraje no es la
conformity.
cobardía,
Just going along with
es la
everybody
conformidad.
else.
Solo va a lo largo con
Don't do what
todos,
everybody
no
else
hagas
is
lo
doing.
que
You're
hacen
going to
los
end up where
demás.
they end up.
Vas a terminar donde
Nowhere.
terminan, en ninguna
Struggling to
parte,
get
luchando
by.
por
You want to
arreglárselas.
stand out like a
¿Quieres
beacon
destacar como
on
un
a
faro en una
dark
noche
night.
oscura?
You want to make certain that
quieres
you're one of the
hacer
most
seguro
effective
de que,
human beings that you could ever be.
eres de los
Do
seres
things in a
humanos que
certain way.
que
The
llega a
one
ser lo que
point that
podría
all
ser.
great leaders
El
have
único
agreed on.
punto en el que
I've
todos los
quoted them
grandes
2 or 3
líderes
times.
han
Is
conseguido
that
los
you and I
es
become
que
what
tú
we
y yo
think
nos
about.
convertiremos en lo que
It's not
pensamos.
just the thoughts that
No
we
son solo los
consciously entertain.
pensamientos los que conscientemente
We have all kinds
entertainment.
of ridiculous,
Tenemos todo tipo de
negative,
ridículos,
aborted thoughts
negativos,
that come flying through our
pensamientos que vienen
consciousness.
volando a través
That's
de
not what
nuestra
we become.
conciencia.
We
En eso
become
nos convertimos
what
en los
thoughts we take
pensamientos que
and
tomamos e
internalize.
internalizamos.
We get emotionally
Nos
involved
involucramos
in.
emocionalmente
The
en los
thoughts that we let
pensamientos
control
que
us.
dejamos controlarnos.
How do we think about
¿Cómo
our company?
pensamos en nuestra
How do
empresa?
we think about
¿Cómo
our job?
pensamos en
Don't
nuestro
let
trabajo?
everybody around you control how
No
you think
dejen que
about the
las cosas a
company.
tu
You
alrededor
think
controlen
about
tus
great
pensamientos.
thoughts about this
Piensa en
company.
grandes pensamientos sobre
Understand
esta
this.
empresa.
When you talk
¿Entiendes
to
esto
somebody,
cuando
you're the
hablas con
company.
alguien? Eres la
You're
empresa.
the company.
Eres la
The
empresa.
company's people.
La gente de la
Great
empresa.
companies develop
Grandes
great
empresas
people.
desarrollan
You
grandes
develop
personas.
great people.
Desarrollas
You're the
grandes
people.
personas.
You do not become
No
the
te
best at what
conviertes en
you're
el
doing
mejor en lo que estás
by doing
haciendo
certain things.
al hacer
You
ciertas
become by
cosas. Te
doing these things
conviertes
in a certain
al
way.
hacer
And
estas
that
cosas
certain
de
way
cierta manera y
is
esa cierta
all the way
manera
through
es todo
thinking
el
into
camino
results.
pensando
Make it a
en
part of your
resultados.
way of thinking.
Hazlo
Make it a part
parte
of
de
your
tu
way of
forma de
life.
vivir, hazlo parte de tu
And you'll
forma
have
de
a
vivir. Tendrás
phenomenal
una vida
life.
fenomenal.
Make up your mind that regardless of what you did in the past,
Independientemente de lo que hiciste
you're
en
going to
el
do something
pasado, vas a hacer
phenomenal in the
algo
future. You
fenomenal
see,
en el
I
futuro.
did this.
¿Ves
You're not
que
talking
hice
to
esto?
somebody
No
that
estás hablando
just
con
read a
alguien que
book and
acaba de
sharing
leer
it
un
with
libro
you.
y compartirlo.
I had no formal
No
education. I had no
tenía educación
business
formal,
experience.
no
I had 2
tenía
months high
experiencia
school.
comercial,
I had a bad
tenía
work
2
record.
meses en la
And
parte
I was
comercial, tenía una
26
historia
and
laboral,
bang, like
tenía
that,
26
everything
años.
started to turn
Y
around
así,
because I
plas,
started to
todo
study.
comenzó a cambiar porque empecé a
Now that was
estudiar.
many years ago.
Ahora,
I've earned
que fue hace
millions of
un
dollars.
tiempo, pero he
I've
ganado
built
millones de
companies,
dólares,
not
he
a company,
construido
companies
empresas,
that
no una
operate all over
empresa,
the world.
empresas que
And you know
operan en todo el
something?
mundo. ¿Y sabes algo?
I don't even think what I've
Ni
done is
siquiera
that
creo que
great.
lo que he hecho sea tan bueno.
It's nothing compared
No
to what
es
I'm
nada
going to do.
comparado con lo que voy a hacer.
If you really want to
Si
make it
realmente
happen,
quieres que
you got
suceda,
to make it happen every
tienes que
day.
hacer que suceda
When you wake
todos
up in the
los días.
morning,
Cuando
make
te
up your mind
despiertas
today you're
por la
going to do it
mañana,
better than you've ever
voy a
done it
hacer
before.
mejor
You're
que
going to do it in a
nunca.
certain way.
Lo vas a hacer
A
de
certain way is
cierta
the
manera,
best
de
way.
cierta manera es la mejor
But you know
manera.
something?
Pero ¿sabes algo?
There's always a better way.
Siempre hay una mejor
What's
manera.
best today
Lo que es mejor hoy
isn't
no es
best
mejor
tomorrow.
mañana.
There's a better way.
Hay una
There's a better
mejor
way of
manera,
doing
hay una
everything.
mejor manera de hacer
Now, I want to
todo.
leave you on this
Ahora quiero
lesson with
dejarte
a
en esta
law.
lección con una ley.
It is an
Es una
absolute
ley
law, and
absoluta.
remember, I've
Y
said it before.
recuerda,
A
lo he
law is
dicho
something
antes,
that
una ley
operates
es algo
all
que
the time
funciona todo
with
el
every
tiempo,
person
con cada
everywhere.
persona en
This is the
todas
law of
partes. Esa es
compensation.
la ley de
The
compensación.
law of
La ley de
compensation
compensación
clearly
establece
states
claramente
that the amount
que
of
la
money you
cantidad de
earn
dinero que
is
ganas
always
siempre
going to
será
be in exact
una
ratio
proporción exacta
with
con la
the need
necesidad
for
de
what
lo
you
que
do,
hace,
your
tu
ability to
capacidad
do it,
para
and the
hacerlo y
difficulty
la
there is in
dificultad que hay
replacing
en
it.
reemplazarte.
Just 3 steps.
Solo
The
3
need for what you
pasos, la
do,
necesidad de
your
lo que
ability to do it,
haces,
and the
tu
difficulty there
capacidad
is in
para hacerlo
replacing
y
it.
la
Now
dificultad
ask
que hay en
yourself,
reemplazarte.
yes,
Ahora
there's
pregúntate
great
si
need
hay
for
una
what
gran
you do.
necesidad en lo que estás haciendo.
I would say
Yo
the answer
diría
to that is
que la
probably an
respuesta a eso es
unequivocal
probablemente un
yes.
sí.
There is great need.
Inequívoco, hay
So
una gran
that's there,
necesidad,
you have
así que
nothing to
eso
do with
está
it.
ahí.
If
Y no
you just
tienes nada
focus
que
on the
hacer. Si
second
solo te
step, you're going
concentras
to
en el
become
segundo, vas
better
a
at what you
mejorar
do.
lo que haces
Every
todos
day
los
you're going to
días. Vas
perfect
a
it just a little
perfeccionar
bit.
solo un poco.
Do you know something?
¿Sabes algo?
You're going to be very
Que vas a
difficult to
ser muy
replace.
difícil
Now,
de
there's no
reemplazar
one
ahora.
that's indispensable.
No hay nadie que sea
They had
indispensable.
a poem
Bien.
one time. It
Leí un
says,
poema
it
una
was
vez
called
y
The
dice que
Indispensable
se llamaba
Person.
La
It
persona
said, put your
indispensable.
hand in a
Dijo,
bucket of
pon tu
water,
mano en el
put it
balde
in
de
up to the
agua,
wrist,
ponlo hasta la
pull it out,
muñeca,
and the hole that
sácalo.
remains
El
is just how
agujero
much
que
you'll
queda
be
es
missed.
cuánto te
You can
sangrarán.
splash all
Puedes
you want as
salpicar
you
todo
enter.
lo que
You can
quieras
stir up
salpicar,
the
puedes
water
remover
galore,
el
but
agua en
take it out
abundancia,
in no
pero
time.
sácalo y
It'll
en
be
poco
much the
tiempo
same as
será
before.
muy
The
igual que
idea
antes.
behind
La
it
idea
was
detrás era
that
que
there's no
no hay persona
indispensable
indispensable,
person, but there's some that
pero hay
are very
algunos
difficult
que
to
son más
replace.
difíciles de reemplazar.
I mentioned Tiger Woods.
Mencioné a Tiger Woods.
You know, he paid millions of
¿Sabes
dollars
que
just
pagó
to show up
millones
at a
de
golf
dólares solo
tournament.
para presentarse en un torneo de golf?
He draws people like
Atrae
no
a la
other
gente
golfer
como
can.
ningún otro
He's
golfista.
the very best at what
Es
he
el
does.
mejor en lo que hace.
Make up your mind.
Toma una
If you
decisión.
take care of the
Si te
second
ocupas del
point here,
segundo punto
it's
aquí,
the need for what
es
you
la
do, your
necesidad de lo
ability
que
to do
haces,
it,
tu capacidad para
and the
hacerlo
difficulty there is in
y la
replacing
dificultad
it.
que hay
You
en
make up your mind, you're going to
y te
become
decidas,
very
te
good at what
volverás
you
muy
do.
bueno en lo que
You're going to
haces.
give it everything
Vas
you
a dar
got. You're
todo
going
lo
to
que
do
tienes,
things,
vas a hacer
everything
las
in a
cosas
certain
todas
way.
de cierta manera.
You're going to become very
Te
difficult to
volverás muy
replace. And
difícil
you know
de
something, when
reemplazar.
that happens, your
Y
stock
sabes
goes up.
algo, cuando eso sucede, tu stock sube.
And if where you're
Y si
working
donde estás
doesn't
trabajando
recognize that,
no
there will be
reconoce
somebody waiting at
que
the
habrá
door
alguien esperando en
that
la
will always
puerta
pay you
que
more.
siempre te pagará
The
más,
opportunity's
la
always
oportunidad
here.
siempre está
It's
aquí,
always here
siempre está aquí,
for the person who
para la
masters what they
persona que
do.
domina lo que hace.
You do not
No te
get
haces
rich
rico
by
haciendo
doing certain
ciertas
things.
cosas,
You get rich
te
by
haces
doing
rico haciendo
things
las
in a
cosas de
certain
cierta
way.
manera.
It's a phenomenal concept. It's one that's guided my life for many, many years, and I've been richly rewarded. I live in a healthy body. I have friends on every continent, in almost every major city in the world. I earn all kinds of money. I have all kinds of fun. But you know something? Everything I do in a certain way. I have found, after close to 50 years, that I really don't know much about myself. And I'm excited to learn more. Because as I do, more of my world unfolds. You know, we're something like a flower that blooms. Imagine a rose. Do you know you can stand and stare at a rose, and it'll completely unfold before your eyes, and you'll never see a petal move. And if you try and force the unfoldment of that rose, you'll kill it. A rose is one of the most beautiful expressions of life. And you are without question one of the most magnificent expressions of life. And do everything in a certain way. You'll be compensated in a just way. Bob Proctor, thank you.
Doesn't a feeling of increase feel good? It sure does. You're going to feel good all the time if you leave others with the impression of increase. If you see and highlight the best in people in your company and in other situations and circumstances, you're going to be in a phenomenal energy. You win and everyone wins. The law of attraction says that what you put out is what comes back. Put your best out all the time, every time. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. You want to make certain that you're one of the most effective human beings you could ever be. Do things in a certain way. The certain way is all through this program. Every lesson is a lesson on thinking into results. Go back and look at all the tools you've acquired so far and get to know them really well, because you'll become what you think about.
Thinking into Results, Lección 11.